Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the August 14th edition of Trash Talking. So it's just kind of weird because like this time I'm recording Sunday at the 8 p.m. and I know I'll be dropping primarily for the audio people because, as we said before, there's many like Pacific time zone people, but I feel like we just accumulated the East Coast people. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's because I guess at one point when we started GeekVerse, like for the first few years, we were always like around like 4 to 6 PSTs. That'd be like what, 7 that'd be like 7 to 8 ish. It's like somewhere in there as far as Eastern time. So it used to be a bit better, and then different jobs, kids, the whole shebang, and now we usually go about 8 p.m. and stuff like that. And that's why I was experimenting with the daytime, and that's why next week should be my last daytime one. I haven't figured out when, because I got 5 weeks off, but then this last week, oh my god, it was when I started my time off. Part of it was, oh well, if we do in this window, me and Emily can have 3 weeks off together, and we have. We're about to have our last week now, but it's just fucking flown by. It's not felt like 2 weeks. It's just it's gone. It's like, man, already 2 weeks gone. And like you dream of that time, like, oh, we've always been off at separate times. Maybe had a week there, but like 3 weeks together. Wow, this is great. And it has been great. And we're gonna do some camping and stuff. It's just like, man, it just flew by. So that's why in 2 weeks, I'll announce it probably on the last show of this week, the official schedule of what I'm doing yet for the next 2 weeks of Chaz Told You. I think I'll probably always have a Sunday one, but I might do those during the day. But I got Logan's birthday's coming up. I got Ellie's coming up. So they might be more of the later ones. Who knows? Or I haven't decided. I might do them early morning and they would probably be pre-recorded. But I guess if anyone's, I guess it's Eastern. I guess if you fuckers are up at 9 to 10, maybe, because I'd be doing it early. Who knows? I'm all figuring it out. I've talked to her about it. We'll see. But I always like to do them at the end of the day or in the middle of the day because all this news drops. Don't want to be out of date. So it's tough. It's tough, these decisions, right? But yeah, so this is, as I've said, this is dropping a day early. I'm doing Sunday to Wednesday because I'll be out of town for a couple days on the Thursday and Friday. So Thursday, you're going to get a regular GeekVerse episode. Should be the trio. Should be Dylan, Dylan, Kirklin, and Taylor. Jessica can only do Tuesdays and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I think that's about it. We had just dropped a few, like, I think 3 casts this weekend now. Already forgotten about them. The Day Shift, Kirkland and Taylor did that. I'm excited to listen to that because I'm only halfway through the movie. We just did After 9, which was lots of fun. That'll be going live to the Patreon soon, and then you'll maybe get a little preview here cut out for the main feed. But Patreon was where you can get that nice smaller one, just S Bubs and Clay, or Chris, sorry. But oh my god, the 3 C's. Carl, but it was nice. It was nice. A nice little talked about theater etiquette and talked about car accidents. Talked about some DC stuff, getting their opinions and everything like that. Carl was not happy with some of the news I'm talking about today, but yeah. And then what else? Fantastic, Mr. Fox. We, as usual, head over to our Patreon. Patreon is down below where you can support us and get free. I guess technically I was gonna say free episodes, but this is the free episodes. You get episodes that are exclusive over there, but ad free and all that good jazz. But if you join the highest tier, you can pick that's Patreon producer tier, and you get to pick a movie that we're retrospective, and that's what Joshua Wright picked, and he's one of our Patreon producers. Big thank you to him, April Darkness, Aaron Braden, and Smalley Biggs. Yeah, it was. I've seen it before, but it was lots of fun to minor spoiler, they hadn't seen it all, so really good movie. And yeah, I thought there was something else that dropped. That's the thing. That's a good thing. There's so much stuff dropping that I forget about it. It's just also life's a lot busier. There used to be a time where it's just I could focus on everything in the podcast. It's like I put as much effort as I can, but I can't even remember 2 days ago. I can't even remember maybe 2 hours ago sometimes, except for the to-do list and stuff like that. So, but yeah, all links down below, have everything got going on right now. So yeah, let's get into this. I guess I should pull up my show notes, hey? I didn't even send them to this computer. But yeah, so this is mostly stuff that came out Friday and then a little bit of the box office. It's funny because I thought about doing a show Friday. I was like, no, it'll be fine. And literally Thursday when I did that show, that other article came out. I think it was about Joker 2 stuff we're talking about, and then some other things were coming out. So that's the thing with all this DC news. I'm wondering when the trickle's gonna stop, right? And I don't mean the news where Rock's like, yeah, Shazam and Black Adam were in the first script and I took them out, which has been funny to see. It's been funny to see him kind of, I don't know. I feel he's trying his best, which is weird because The Rock, and I never want to doubt The Rock. So I'm not gonna say this movie is a failure, but he had some comment where it was like, oh yeah, in an interview. Originally, Shazam had Shazam and Black Adam, but I took that out because I thought it would service both characters, and pretty much just saying that I wanted a solo film for Black Adam. And then even he said that, and he was getting lots of backlash. You could tell today, like, there's just nothing pretty much but backlash. Some people try to defend it a little bit, and I kind of get what he was saying from his point of view as far as like the IP he has to protect, as far as he just wants Black Adam, right? But he was pitching his way like, oh no, for both of them. I don't think the quote was that bad. I think it's just if you're already disappointed with no Black Adam and Shazam, then that's the point. I think if people knew, hey, we're going to do Shazam and Black Adam eventually, like the next movie, Shazam 3 and Black Adam 2, that's the movie. I think people will be all down for The Rock doing this. Be like, oh, cool, we get a solo or like villain origin. But I don't think people think that's going to happen. I personally don't, especially Shazam 2 doesn't do the greatest. Like, Rock's always been talking more about Superman than Shazam, right? So, but he put out that, he in an interview came out with that quote, and then today he like quoted like 100%. I wanted to service my character and this character and da, da, da. So I feel like he's just between that and the Superman thing. I'm not gonna say he's flustered the way people thought. Oh, Comic Con, he's getting booed, he's flustered. No, I don't think that. I just think he's like having to work like a little harder to promote this movie. And I said this on Marvel Lines. I can't wait to see the early tracking of this movie because I can't gauge it. There's some like again I'm gonna talk about in box office, but stuff like Top Gun would have never thought that, right? I wasn't going to tell you he's going to bomb, but would never thought it would be to this amount, to this level. So you never know. Black Adam could come out and be like Aquaman. Black Adam could come out and be the fucking biggest DC movie of all time. I don't know. It just happens. Exactly, I suppose. He's cooking. He's cooking hard, though, this time. I know what he's cooking. It has Zoa. Instead of oil and butter, he's using Zoa and stuff like that. But, so I don't know what this news, because we have lots of stuff with Flash, lots of stuff with Black Adam. So there's going to be tons of news, but I feel like it's just, we're going to get a trickle of so much. And there's stuff like fake stuff of like Ben Affleck's coming back and he's shooting scenes for Flash. That's not, if you've seen that around, I even checked with somebody that knows sort of a bit more than me as far as in that area of the internet, because they were tied to a website. I'm not going to say who. I don't want to start some war or anything, but they were tied to a website where I'm like, most people disapprove these like this website. It usually gets like flack for being wrong. And I checked this with this person because I was at a service for a little bit. I'm like, lots of people are like saying like, look at Affleck. Like, I thought I missed something. Like, did I miss some sort of even C-tier report? And they're like, no, that's bullshit. And I was like, and that's like, it's just people hoping, right? And I feel like it's that time from 2017 to, I'd say about Aquaman time, maybe a little bit after that, where there was just rumors galore of this and that. Actually, I'll say 2016, because after BVS, the rumors were from 2017 to 2019, rumors were all over. And it felt like it kind of quieted out a little bit. And then I feel like ever since the Snyder Cut happened, which is not like a bad thing, but between that, the Batman, and then the Keaton stuff, every day there's something else, and sometimes it's really official Hollywood Report stuff, and sometimes just some random C-tier scoop and everything like that. So we got this giant freaking robot covered. Exactly, I suppose. Not them. I don't want to shout out who and everything like that. So, cause some people I've been retweeting as like a real thing, and I don't want to say they're dumb, because who knows? Maybe it'll be, because they kind of do this. I had a source that confirmed this, but it's the tough thing when it's just like, when you keep crying wolf and you say this person's coming back, this person's coming back, this person's coming back, and then when they come back, like, look, I told you they're coming back. It's just, I don't know. But speaking of, I guess not coming back, but coming to a different angle, I don't know. So Hollywood Reporter, they put out this another report, because I feel like the scoopers and everything, that's where a lot of these reports do have lots of little nooks and crannies as far as good news, but bulk huge scoop news not happening right now. But I think they just know that DC's hot right now, like with the news, with people looking at the rumors and everything. I think they know, hey, we publish some DC or Warner Bros., this is going to get clicked right away, because you either have the people that are really supportive of the new plans as of, or are really not, or people just genuinely like care and just want to say, hey, what could be like a little kernel for who's, the next, head, who's this, who's that, when's Sabotagon, all this stuff. Because it's weird, I would assume if we're not getting a DC head in the next little while, we won't be getting any major casting announcements, anything like that. And that's where I'm not even making a cutout. That's where one of the news things of this was that Batman 2 hasn't even been greenlit, right? And I was like most people where I get it, right? Lots of us love the Batman. We heard they announced the Batman 2, whatever it's going to be called. We're really excited. Now all of a sudden it's not greenlit. To me, I took that as greenlit in the production, like ready to go, 100% happening, right? Because I feel like it can be greenlit, because let's say Matt Reeves is writing a script. I don't believe this at all, but let's say he comes and says, you know what, I can't do it. I don't like this movie. It's not happening. I just can't feel it. It's just something's not working. So you wouldn't want to greenlight that technically. I've said this before. I fully believe that Batman 2 is happening. Am I 100%? No, I can't be 100% with the new regime and everything like that. But I just think because we go back, I don't think anything's changed. Now, I've said this before. I think it's the intention for Batman 2. I mean, in the sense that I don't think that they're going, hey, I don't think we're going to do the Batman 2. I think if the Batman 2 doesn't happen, it's because of a Zaslav, Matt Reeves, like, head colliding of, hey, we want you to do it this way, and I want you to do it this way. I don't think it's a way where they come and go, we're just going to cancel it. We're going to talk about, they're moving forward Joker 2. And with this one, they've cited Batman multiple times. Even in the earnings call, they said the Batman is the successes like that. They, again, when Matt Reeves announced Batman 2 at CinemaCon, that was in the Zaslav officially owning era. So if he was like, I'm unsure about this, I think he would have kiboshed that. So I think the Batman 2 is safe. I know people are worried. I really think it's just greenlight more from a pre-production standpoint even. So don't worry about that. But again, well, you say, how can I not worry? Look what's happened. I can't blame you. So as DC studio heads saying, the article, it was strange. And it's one of these things that there's something else behind it. Like we've talked about this before, when there's certain actors that are like negotiating the press or directors or that's that. I don't know if it felt like that. I don't know if it was it, because in this article it says that they were there's been talks or whispers of Greg Berlanti. If you don't know who Greg Berlanti is, he's kind of like the Feige over at CW for the DC stuff. He does a lot of other things too. Riverdale, what was this? Oh, he has a whole shit ton of stuff that I know it's not just DC, but he's running a lot of shows. He's the head of a lot of them, right? And that's one of the things the article will talk about, why they thought maybe he wouldn't do this. But it was like they've heard whisperings and his name's come up, but no one's actually approached him. Now, I get that, right? And this is where it could be 100% true, because even with the podcast network, right? There were names, there were people that we talked to that, whether it didn't work out with us, we didn't work out with them in the beginning of the stages, where hey, maybe we'll come back together, or a time where it's like, hey, we're thinking about you as a host. I get that. There's times where me and GeekVerse have talked, and technically they go, hey, we're having whispers, like even Marvel Alliance, right? I knew that I wanted Chris to be my co-host from day one, and luckily he accepted. And even with Brent, right? We had to talk to him. We had to check with his license. So technically, there was worse whispers when I had to bring in Chris or bring in Brent. So I guess you could say, oh, they have something. But the fact that I got to reporting, that's where I go, this is in there for a reason, whether it's a positive one to try and grease the wheels a bit, or a negative one. I don't necessarily, and this would be the worst, because I know some people may say this, like, well, maybe they're saying this a little bit just to put his name out there and see what people think. And if it's positive, they'll go get him. That's a terrible way to run the business. I want someone that, yes, I would hopefully like what they bring to the table, but if you're just looking for who's the most popular name and stuff like that, or who people like the most, I don't necessarily want them to go that route. So do I think this is actually happening? Greg Berlanti? No, I think it's just, you'd be stupid not to have the conversation. Now, I'm somebody that likes the CW enough. I've fallen off it massively, right? But I was around for, I don't think I watched I think I started watching after season 2 of Arrow. And honestly, hate to say it, Flash is what got me excited. Because I like Green Arrow. I like him enough, but he's not like one of my top 10 DC characters. Yeah, I'd have to make a list. The unfortunate thing for DC is a lot of them are Batman-oriented characters as well. But I should make a list one time of DC characters taking out the Batman characters. But I watched Arrow and Flash, and I even watched first season Legends of Tomorrow, and I watched, what else? God, they had so many spinoffs. I watched first season Superman and Lois, and that one I just fell behind on because the fucking season, whatever. And I think he's still, someone let me know in the chat if he produces like Titans and Doom Patrol and everything like that. I think he might, but I don't know for sure. But majority of these things had his hand, right? And with the CW, to me, it started really great. Arrow went from solid to being really, really good to great to getting back to solid, and then mixed seasons of meh to solid. Flash, I don't care what anyone says. I think it's not an unpopular opinion, but season 1 and 2 are some of the best comic book stuff. Even though they had like those filler type of episodes, they did like the best type of filler episodes. It really worked, and there were some great twists. So that's the thing where season 2 of Arrow is an all-time top tier superhero TV. I'd agree with you, Superbad Mike. I don't know. It's tough now. I would say at the time it was for me. It could still be in the top 10. I don't know what you mean by all time. Maybe that's your top 10, top 5. It was very strong though. But even then the Flashes have been in there. There's been a couple of Netflixes. So I'll say for sure it's one of the best seasons though. If there's like an A tier of the best seasons of superhero TV, that Arrow season 2 would absolutely be in there. And I was somebody that hated. That's why I didn't watch Arrow 2, because I hate the aspect of the flashbacks, right? But he created a lot of success. Look at all these shows that Black Lightning, all these shows that span off. Even Superman and Lois gets praised a lot more than the other ones for having this very more theatrical style, right? So I think you would be kind of idiotic to not even bring up the name. Even to everyone to shoot it down, why wouldn't you bring it up? Now, the baggage of the CW is it has, lots of people like the CW tropes, the Riverdale tropes, right? The very bad effects, some maybe dodgy writing and everything like that. And that's tough because I don't put that all on him. I don't put everything not on him, but there's some stuff, especially like it's so tough because once the Flash got going, it got in that kind of mode of like Grey's Anatomy or shows like that where it's just like, well, we're churning out money and it's working. Let's just keep making seasons. Now, I'd love to talk to him and I think they before say, oh, we don't have a plan for ending like a couple years ago. Now they're ending. I suppose says, yeah, he produces Doom Patrol, Titans, and apparently he produced Free Guy. Yeah, and he's it's been a mix, right? Because he I think also produced like the Green Lantern movie. So I would not be opposed because I think the CW did become not kind of bad. There's aspects of it became bad and kind of it just felt like the wheels were starting to fall off, right? I think that's the situation where you get certain shows where it's just, hey, we're just gonna keep going until people stop watching. Eventually, you're gonna run an idea. Look at the guys that did Supernatural, right? And I wasn't a Supernatural watcher. I actually liked the episodes I've seen. I one day want to watch all, but the guy who's doing The Boys now, he's show ran. He said, I have this many seasons planned out, and we're gonna end it. The network's like, great. Show is doing great, and what do? Well, we don't want to end it. He said, well, I don't want to keep telling the story. Different because he was just a solo showrunner, but then he left, and then they kept doing Supernatural without him. To me, I think this is a lot of they just want to keep doing they did want to keep doing these shows. Just try to do as best as you can. Now, do I think you could make some better stuff? Yes, because I saw Flash, and there was a quality dip for whatever reason there was, and even if there was bad ideas, then you have to try maybe a little harder. But maybe that's because there's so many hands in the pot, right? So, he's a name that I think there's pros and cons, and always like look at costumes and stuff like that. I don't hold that against them because that's just like it's this. I don't know. It's the same way if you look at like us for example, GeekVerse. When we started, we were in one room. We were in Dylan's parents' basement with one mic and the chairs, and that's it. And the mic was a Yeti plugged into the computer. That's it. Audio program, everything like that. To compare that to us 5 years ago and be like, man, you guys, and that's why sometimes we release the classics, right? And I remember Pickens, he messaged me once, like, what the fuck happened with the mics? What's going on? I'm like, oh, it's a classic. Like, you can hear some of the audio. And that's where, yeah, those audio ones aren't the greatest, but I always don't mind putting them out because people get to see how far we've come. And that's because of the people that listen. So it's unfair for the budget that we have nowadays, where the second one of these mics break, a camera breaks, our gear goes bad, we can replace it just like that, right? Back then we couldn't do that. So it's the same way when people shit on the CG or the suits. There is some weird stuff. There is some stuff when I come across my timeline, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Because I would do the reverse where maybe if you don't have the budget, just try to, maybe be smaller. But that's the problem. The show kept running and had to get bigger and bigger. And the actor's budget gets bigger and bigger, and everything like that. And like, look at Grant Gustin. I can't remember how much he was getting paid for each episode. And it was a lot. And he was smart. I know a lot of people think that most that Flash cast is over everything. They might be, but I think he's playing it smart because he's going to go and make a bunch of money right now. And this is when the getting's good because there's a chance that Grant Gustin can go get another role or could not get a role of that stature, right? And then that's kind of over. So the budgetary things like that, I think if you were to give him, and absolutely, I suppose that's the one that comes to mind, right? The Flash lightsaber fight versus Godspeed. And that's the thing where the show, you could just say, man, what's going on? But you would hope that if there was a budget, if there was, you could use, and I won't say better actors or writers, but people that are a bit more seasoned or have a bit more time, which like Superbad Mike says, big problem was 22 episode per season model. And that's the thing. Some of those writers could be great. And maybe Flash, if they're like, hey, we're doing last season's shortened one. I've thought about watching it. I don't know because I got to catch up on a little, but I might not even catch up. I might just do like a recap video and skip to it. I don't know because I love Grant Gustin as the Flash, and I still wish that he was the Flash. I'm not the people saying now like, oh, he should replace Ezra. No, that time's gone. I just think originally it would have been great. I really like him as a character, and I think any faults that he has, it's the pure writing. And again, maybe if it wasn't 22 episodes, that could happen. Clay says Berlanti got enough weight in his name to get a Mel meeting to get Arrow DCEU canon. It fell through, but it almost happened. Really, I didn't know that. That would have been interesting because I feel like that's very Netflix situation because like look at season 2 when they used Deathstroke. It's like, well, what would happen? They had plans over there. Obviously, Harley Quinn was supposed to be in the show at one point, and they took that away for Task Force X. Like there was an episode where they pretty much just killed off Suicide Squad because I think the rumor was they were doing a show, right? So, and that was in the age where, hey, you can't have movies and TV shows do the same thing, and now we're very different, you know. So, um, I wouldn't be opposed. It's not the worst name I've heard thrown out there. Would I want to happen? Again, I'm not necessarily sour on it because it's this tough thing where they've proven to me that they can run a universe. The big difference is it's TV versus film. And that's something where it's like he has done some film. It would be a little better if there's more films under his belt, like the way Feige took over. But you're never gonna get a carbon copy of Feige, right? I think he might be the closest to he knows the world. He has some of the canon, lore, media, stuff like that he's consumed or worked with before. So I think if this was a situation where too, if these TV shows were, hey, you take Black Lightning, Flash, Arrow, but he's doing movies versions, I don't think it's the worst, but I still don't know if it's the best option. It wouldn't be the one I throw out there. And it's tough because, like I said, there is a difference between TV and movie and how they work. There is a difference because you can use the argument of, hey, it started great, but it went in a rut. What if that's the same with the DCEU? Feige said a great job of, I know everybody goes, oh, Phase 4, it's such a good, some people go like, oh, it's so mixed or it's so bad. I really don't think that. And I think with the GA, it shows that these movies are still doing quite well, so that's where it's like, there's enough people in the world that disagree with this, even if they're just consuming because they love Marvel. It's like, well, there eventually people will turn and they will eventually they'll hate you, like Green Goblin says, right? So do I think this is gonna happen? No, I really don't. I think it's just it's chatter one way or the other, or it's just something that literally it could have been they were in a board meeting, right? And let's say there's 12 whatever people in this boardroom. They talk about Greg Berlanti for a second. What about Greg Berlanti? Who is he? Oh, he does DCCW stuff. He could work. And someone goes, no, I don't think so. It's Zaslav. No, I don't think so. Yeah, now we could find better people. And then move on. And then you can have an intern overhear that, bring it to a Hollywood Reporter and say, hey, his name has been talked about, but they didn't approach him. That's all it could be. I believe that it's come up at least once. And it could even come up in the way that maybe they got right away, like signs like, yeah, this guy wants nothing to do it. Because the article also said he would be leaving a lot. And that's where it's like, it sounds like it would be, if they want someone to do this, all these other shows that he produces, you'd have to cut and go, I don't think they want another JJ situation where the guy's over here, but it's also like, oh, he's producing Star Treks too, and he's still producing Cloverfield movies. Oh, and he might go direct a Star Wars movie. It's just like, you don't want that. You want someone that's just home based. So I don't think this is going to happen. If it did, I wouldn't be opposed. I don't think it's the worst thing. Let's see. The problem I have with Berlanti, the same that Ray brought up on the vodka stream. We barely saw Berlanti through the entire run of the DCCW. I know I did hear that because I was unpacking. I did listen to that. And you guys, especially Ray, knows a lot more about the CW stuff. But at the same point, listen to the vodka stream. Dave's a good chap and all those fellas, and I'll be back at some point. Not this week because I'll be out of town again. But I also agreed with Steven where it's like, he was bringing it. Ray from Flightcast, go check out all these people, and Stephen Colbert. He had brought up, hey, you need something like a fight. It needs to be a face. But then Stephen had a good counter of, yeah, but that's not what Feige had to do right away, right? So that's where I kind of agree. And TV works very differently. TV moving so fast, I wouldn't expect Berlanti to be out there all the time, out on Front Street. Where Feige, they're moving fast. Now they're moving really fast, but he's out there. So I see pros and cons to that because that wasn't part of his job, and maybe this would be, and maybe that'd be a reason he'd turn it down. So if it were to happen, if I wake up, honestly, if I were to wake up tomorrow and that were to be the case, I go, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. Because if I had not seen any greatness out of the CW, I'd go, maybe there's somebody else. You're just getting something that just runs DC stuff. I've seen greatness in the CW. Now, even then, like with Superman Lois, I haven't watched season 2, and I hear there's more like peaks and valleys, but still, most people talk pretty highly of that show, so it's not like, and even Black Lightning, which was not too long ago, even then, it's not like, oh, everything the guy is doing is shit now, And there's just some stuff like Riverdale, it's like, that's just running and making money, and it's ending, and they're happy with it, right? So I would not be opposed. I don't think it's happening. There could be better names out there, but tough, it's the same thing where I don't know the perfect name because all our names are like fan people picks, and there have to be someone with a lot of credentials and people that want to do this and want to do this under the right circumstances, right? So same thing we've talked about before. They go to Craig Berlanti and say, hey, you want to do this? Sure, we just got to reboot and start over. Well, we don't really want to lose this person. And he goes, well, I don't want to work with those people, not because they're bad, just because like, hey, I want to start afresh. And they go, well, part separate ways. So That's the thing. He got to start with a separate box there. So we'll see. I think this is just a whisper. It's fun to talk about. It's fun because lots of people are like, not a chance, not a chance. And then there was rumors of like, hey, they are talking about it. But I don't think so. I really don't. And as far as if I want him, it'd be like a 50-50. I can see pros and cons for either one. I could see there being worse people for the job. I could see there being potentially better people for the job. And you ask me, oh, who's these better people? I feel like it's tough because I can't say like a Feige because that doesn't exactly exist anymore as far as like the way he came up. But people with some film, like a lot of film credit to the name would be great. Oh, my lights are bugging out. So we'll see. Let's see. Superbad Mike says Feige came out of nowhere to run an MCU. It's hard to manufacture a lightning bottle. And that's the thing, though. He came out of nowhere for us. We had no idea. And that's what I want, where you look at the credentials. And I got to do this too, right? Where I have to, when that person gets announced and you look at their credentials, you're going to see a bunch of maybe some stinkers and you go, oh my God, this is like who's going to run DC? Remember, Feige had that too. He had like produced Electro and like some of the worst X-Men movies, so it's not like you got to learn. So I think someone more film versed, I think for me, is the route to go. So, and I've said this before, I think it's going to be someone male, female, any non-binary type. Like, I think it's going to be someone that might be young and plucky and just wants to prove themselves. If there's tons of people that are already saying, no, I don't want to do this, then it's like, well, get someone that doesn't have something to lose. Like, they come to me. I have no experience, but if they came to someone my age that has even some experience that is even small in the food chain, it's like, hey, you want to try this? Because worst case scenario, it's going to fail, but you'll probably still make them a lot of money, probably get a contract. And best case scenario, you make it work and you become a fucking huge ass name, right? So, and I'm not saying it can't be, I'm not saying, oh, it's not hard. I guess it all depends on which route they want to go. So we're going to take an ad break and then we're going to talk about more from this article. Talked about Joker, other DC shows, Batgirl. So we'll be right back. Oh my goodness, it is a hot day. I do not want to cough right in the mic, but yeah, it's getting hot here. I'm sweating today. I think we have to have a shower after this cast. I already showered today, so it's one of those days. But so continuing on, there was two things also. Actually, there's three things that we're still going to be getting to in this article where it's a Joker 2. Lots of things. It was interesting. So here's the three statements. 150 million budget. They compared it to A Star Is Born, but with complicated musical numbers, which is funny because that's not A Star Is Born. Excuse me, that's not A Star Is Born. A Star Is Born doesn't have complicated musical numbers. It's people just sitting around and singing on the stage. There's some really nice shot ones. I think what they mean by, and I like all this. I like the sounds of that because I think what they mean is there's lots of dialogue, there's lots of script, there's lots of talking, and then we'll get to a musical number. Now, in the movie of Starborn, the musical number is them on a stage or them practicing. So or them on SNL. So that's your musical number right there. So it's kind of like in that musical genre. I think that's what's going to happen where the movie's mostly completely normal, and then a musical number happens, and complicated. That's great. That's what I want. I don't want A Star Is Born that way where it's just like a few people singing. You'll get some of those, but if it's in Joker's mind, if it's in Harley's mind, or both of them, whatever it is, having some fucking fever dream, I want weird stuff. Like, that's what sells me. That's why people always go, oh, you don't like musicals. Not really, no, but to have a musical in the Joker's mind and Harley's mind, that's the fucking selling point right there. Like, that's the meat and potatoes. We're like, this could be tons of fun. There's just so much you could do. Like, we even talk about with costumes. You could do so many variations of costumes. And if you were to make, let's say you were to make Walking Phoenix looks like the Batman animated series Joker, and you go, oh, look, that's really cartoony. That doesn't fit in the world. It's a fucking musical, and it's in his head. It's not going to happen in the real world, right? So that's all great. It being more like A Star Is Born, that sounds good to me because I love that movie. And like I said, it is less musical in a sense, so that works. The budget, right? This is where everyone comes up as far as, man, it's so big. How are they going to make that back? I still think, take that budget, double it. People in the chat, do you at least think that the Joker 2 could make 300 million plus? Because let's say that's with marketing, right? So it's double 300 million plus. I think 100% is going to happen. Big Wumbo. I haven't even seen this in a little bit like that. But random. It says Travie. Travie's, I guess, fine. I don't like Trav. I hate Trav. Only my mother calls me Trav. And so many people call me Trav. And I know people are going to hear and probably use as insult. And it's fine. I just like brush past. But what I get annoyed is people that It's kind of fine if you call me as a joke, but I hate people at work that just call me Trav, or people in my life call me Trav, and it's like I didn't say I like that, didn't say I like that, didn't say I didn't like it, whatever. But Travie, it's a bit off topic. What are the odds Grant Gustin is recast as a Flash? I feel like he was well received, to me at least, and was really good adaptation for the Flash. But yeah, exactly. But if we were talking about like Ezra, not a chance, not now. I think I don't think it was ever on the table. I really don't. Even after all this stuff, even if they hadn't filmed the Flash, I really don't think so. Which really, and they did the whole Ezra and Flash thing for their Crisis, right, where they had them on the screen at the same time. I think right away that like kicked it away of like, that's not happening. You are not getting Grant as that Flash. And what sucks is there's like rumors that apparently it's strange because when the movie was starting to film, it sounded like Grant was going to be in the Flash as like a cameo. It sounds like that's not even the case anymore. Fuck, that sucks. You know, that sucks that Grant doesn't get to pay it forward. But no, I think I agree with you. I think he's really good as Barry. I just think he's going to be done. He's going to be done. I'm not saying you'll never see him again. You'll never see him again. Big plot twist. Berlanti makes every CW actor the new DC canon. Well, that would mean what? We're going to get Kevin Conroy as Batman, right? We're going to get an even older Batman. What Clay would be so pissed. Well, we're not doing Keaton anymore, but we're doing Kevin Conroy, the man who's not really a live action actor. We're doing him instead Keaton. But no, I don't think that would happen. And yeah, I think time's passed. It's over. He was a good Flash. Watch for what it was. Obviously, some Reddy's a little lower at times, but no, I think Grant is done. But with the budget though, again, let me know. I think that the Joker at least makes over 300 million, which makes it a profit. Now, I think that's fine because even if it were to be lower, I don't think there's a. This is funny because I know he's doing a sequel. I don't think there's a fucking chance Joaquin Phoenix does a Joker 3. I feel like he had to sit on this long enough. It had to be a really tight script and idea. Now, never say never, but I'm just saying, like, for him to do a trilogy, that would surprise me. I do think Joker 2 is like the swan song because I just think that Joker 1 was such a hit and a surprise. Like, well, let's do it again. And Joaquin has said like he had lots of fun, you know. And he's not a bullshitter type of actor. Like he's one of the like it's surprising he got an Oscar because he did play the game. He showed up a lot, but still like his speeches, everything like that. He's not your norm type of actor, right? So I think it will make its budget back, and it does make sense as far as if these big numbers are, and obviously what it was. I think it's what was it? Was it 40 mil? Was it 50 million for the cast? Because who I think it was. Did they get 20? The chat let me know. I think the Phoenix and Phillips got 20 and Gaga got 10. I think it was somewhere in that. And if that was the case, it's like that's 50. Like if you were to take out the actor and directors one, which they should do, right? Because Warner Brothers, aka Homada or Emmerich, whoever we talked to, they screwed up The Last Joker, where they didn't really believe in it, so they let another company produce it, and Warner Brothers didn't get much of the profits. So they went in there like, hey, we want some of those profits, and they're like, hey, we want you to pay us more, fuckers, because you didn't like. I'm sure they got paid well enough last time, but this is like their chance to cash in, and that could literally be it. And that's an actor's game, right? This would be Joaquin Phoenix's version to cash in. So if Joker 2 under delivers, well, I already cashed in. I already got that money. I don't need to do Joker 3. So I think it will be profitable, but you take away the actor's budget, or, I'll wait until someone tells me, but the actor's income right there, the budget's even a lot lesser, and that makes sense. For a sequel that made $1 billion, you're going to push it up. And even then, like Hollywood Reporter put it up there, it is a lot cheaper than most comic book movies, because most comic book movies now are averaging like a 200 million box office budget. It's crazy. That's the route we've gone. Or they're probably a bit the budget's higher, like Shazam, I imagine, but because the actors are probably not getting paid these huge amounts and everything. So I'm not worried. I still think it's like is it a bigger risk? Yes, because that budget's higher. But I do think that Gaga honestly adds a lot to it. I think the mystique around Joker 2, the fact that Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar, and Gaga. I'm trying to think, because and this is the thing where I've said this before, I've said this many times, which I'm very excited for. And maybe let me address the chat here, and then I'll get back to what I'm excited for. Superbad Mike says, I can see Joker 2 make $1 billion if they focus on marketing the effed up Harley Quinn and Joker romance. I could too. The first one did. I feel like this has a different audience too, like a whole different audience. There's that whole joke about like Gaga making, her fans make watch a movie with a straight white male. And it's kind of true because she just has like a conglomerate of like hardcore fans and stuff. And I just think it's one that if people were to see Joker 2, think, yeah, okay, whatever. Joker, they're making a sequel. But the second you hear Gaga, people like my mom, other people, oh, really? Especially now that she acts now, like it gets them going. So Gaga get another Oscar nomination for it. She could get a win. I think she's after. It's funny, like she just started acting, and she's after that win. You want to talk about someone that was playing the game around House of Gucci time? She was playing the game, and she fucking should have been rewarded for that game. I don't know about a win, but she should have got nominated. The Joker trilogy box, that Joker, Joker 2, and Suicide Squad 2016. Oh yeah, the prequel leading up to. I guess you could. I guess age differences no, but you could have some multiverse fun with that. Big Wumbo. I feel that, just curious on your take. Now I definitely feel Joker 2 surpasses 300 million just from the hype from the first movie and Gaga in the main role. I feel like people will go to see how it ends up. I agree with you, even if it's to hate watch it, and most people will go watch it too just because who knows what else DC will be coming out that time. And it's just different. I think it's different. And that's what my point was, where it's not the same exactly because Phoenix is like a different type of cat, but still there's been nobody other than two people who have won an Oscar for a comic book role. One was Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and the other one was Heath Ledger for the Joker. I still think one of the biggest sad things I've talked about all the time is that Heath Ledger did not get to, enjoy the fruits of his labor. That movie came out, and he got to, what did Nolan see? He got to see the bank heist scene. So fucking sad. And like you think about how big he would have been, the roles, the money, everything. He come back for Batman 3, like Dark Knight Rises, whatever it would have been called. Everything what Ledger would have got. This is exactly like we're kind of seeing what would have happened. Like Phoenix coming back is like, okay, 20 million, like we're seeing what would have happened if Ledger got this. And not exactly because I think they're different people, but this is the first time ever you can say a person is returning to their Academy Award winning role in a comic book movie. People have done it before, right? But in this, that's like you get to be the marketing first. No one's ever going to be able to do that again. You can't, Ledger couldn't have done that, and no one from Black Panther won it. And again, it wouldn't have happened. I still think like Patrick Stewart or Hugh Jackman should have nominated at least nominated. But I think good chances to win their awards those years because they were fantastic. You get to be a first. You get to be one of the first ever to say, hey, we got an Academy Award winning reprising the comic book role that he won a comic book for, So there's lots to it. But speaking of reprising roles, also in this article was speaking about Leslie Grace. So apparently it just said that Mike DeLuca and, what is the other one? I think it's Amy something or I don't know, but the two people, so they came over from MGM, which they announced today that Warner Brothers is going to be distributing MGM's movies like internationally. So like the next Bond and Creed 3, that's a fucking good get. And that whatever you want to say about Warner Brothers, that's like some good extra money just kind of coming in. So whoever, and it was probably these people from MGM because they used to work there that, maybe worked out that deal with Amazon. Really fucking smart deal, like really good until Amazon like creates their own theaters or, everything like that. That very smart. So I think that was a good move on their part. But they are running a lot of things as an intern, right? And as they're internally running DC. And that's the rumor that one of them is that they want Hamada to stay, which, there's lots in that. I don't know how much it's true. Maybe they want him to stay just because his contract could be up and it's just easier to go. Hamada wants to stay because he wants to get his money for Black Adam and everything like that. But the other thing was that they are talking to Leslie Grace about trying to, soften up and reprise her role as Batgirl in the future. Oh boy. Anything can happen. I just don't know. Again, I don't think they would come to agreement because I think unless Batgirl is her be-all, end-all, like, again, some people are like that, right? And if it's what she grew up playing, then maybe there's a chance that she would say yes. But I think the only way you would say yes, because she did all this work, and yeah, sure, she got paid for Batgirl too, but she could have been doing other work that maybe she could have had more of a career from, been in different franchises. Batgirl could have came out and gave her more opportunities to sign up for this again, then be like, hey, this time for sure it's not going to happen, which I would believe them that they wouldn't cancel it twice, but still you'd be rocky of like, hey, like I've been through this before. I think she'd want a fat check right up front, and her agency, because that case of, hey, let's say a month from now they announce we're doing another Batgirl 2, same cast crew, everything, we're refilming a bunch of stuff, you'll see it in a few years. That's literally like taking 2 to 3 years out of her career that she could be doing other stuff. So I think you'd have to be writing a big fat check for Leslie Grace to come back. For something like a big movie, a cameo in a crossover, something like that. Maybe okay, you could get some. Let's say whatever it is they do a Bat Family movie, right, with Ben Affleck or something like that, and Batgirl only is in the movie like 25%, but they bring Leslie Grace in. That gets you a lot of goodwill. So that's something I could see. The whole like another movie, that's kind of tough for me to actually see that happening. I just think that, and again, people all have their different motivations, right? So maybe there's a chance you could talk her into it. She does have a smaller career as of right now. She's starting to break up, but not like the biggest breakout star. But at the same time, as the agent, I would say, unless there's some good money, maybe go do something else. I'm not saying those people like, oh, you got to jump over to Marvel, hit him where it hurts. Like, no, she could just go get other roles. But again, that's just like a little thing. It wasn't made headline stuff like that. I just think that that's not happening, or I think they're just talking to her in a way like, oh, we'd really like to use you in the future just to be nice, and they might not have any plans for a Batgirl in the future. So yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't. Let's see, Nightwing and Batgirl movie do it. Well, that was the rumor that Batgirl apparently set that up. That scoopers were saying that it didn't seem like they were Nightwing or Dick Grayson was in this. Maybe they were being talked about at one point, but that was the rumor because we had, oh man, another bummer, we just had that mural of Batman and Robin in the background, and that like started a whole bunch of stuff like, oh, Keaton had a Robin, all this stuff, but that's gone, and that storyline's gone, and the idea of maybe setting up her and Nightwing in a movie, that seems to be gone. So yeah, it's still a big bummer now that I think about it. It's like a little less than 2 weeks old, but hey, what you gonna do? Let's do the quick hits, but because there's some DC tie in there and everything like that. So the quick hits. The other one about DC happening right now was that supposedly they want to cancel all the non-DC shows, which I think, or sorry, the non-DCEU shows. The idea is we want everything that's a show to be connected. So like a Peacemaker, maybe if Black Canary became a show, stuff like that. So there's rumors that Titans and Doom Patrol aren't done yet, but they're on the bubble. Looks like they're going to get taken out of. Everyone's always worried about Superman and Lois. I think that sounds like it. And I just think from what they're doing, that makes sense. Now, it's strange because does I'm curious to see after, because the Batman is a proven commodity, and like I said, I think that's coming out. So after the Batman, and after after Reeves has done his trilogy, and Joker, are we just is that it for the Black Label or the Elseworlds tales? You know, because they're still doing the Penguin show. That has nothing to do with the DCU, and I hope that doesn't mean like, yeah, we're gonna make the Batman universe the DCU. No, I don't want that. I don't want Robert Pattinson with Superman. Please, like, if it happens, I'll say, all right, let's go. I like Pattinson as Batman, so I'll give it a chance. But I don't necessarily want that overall. So to me, I don't think it makes sense, or not that I like it, as far as if these things are successful making money. I guess the idea is, if you want to see Superman, it has to be here. If you want to see the Black Lightning, he has to be connected to the DCU here. So there's some kind of, very much the Disney Plus stuff. But again, Disney Plus still, even though it's like loosely still connected to the MCU, they still do these like, what ifs and different tales. Can you not say that about Titans? Can you not say that about Doom Patrol? Whatever you feel about the shows doesn't matter as far as like quality wise. Just like, can you not just say, hey, these are separate by themselves, just watch them that way? I don't know. It doesn't sound like that's the case. It sounds like they're going to be getting them all. I think it's kind of silly, but at the same time, if they're going this whole different route DC, I think it's silly as far as where I am now, because there's people that like these shows, and if it's just canceling to get them all connected, then it's just, you're already breaking the rules, because Penguin's about to shoot, I think they said at is it the end of this year, beginning of next? So right there, you should be shutting that down, right? You say, oh, that's not connected. Oh, sorry, that's not connected to DCU. Get rid of it. But you're not. So it all makes sense to me why it's happening, as far as they're getting rid of a lot of stuff, and some of these decisions don't make sense. That makes complete, total accuracy sense of what's been happening right now with Warner Brothers and everything over there. So the box office, which is interesting. So you have, I didn't talk about this last week, I meant to, but you have Thor Ragnarok becoming the biggest domestic Thor at I guess it's overall 700 million, but biggest domestic Thor. There are some markets where it's not playing, obviously with China. I don't know how much that had to do with the market being that successful last time, but they are missing some markets. So that's where it's like, that is hurting it a little bit. But I still think that's a win overall because I think Thor. Let's see, Thor Ragnarok. I think it's like 830 or something like that, right? So Thor Ragnarok. Let's see. Let's check the box office of this big boy here. So we got. I know someone's trying to beat me. That's not gonna happen. 854. So there you go. Can I see where? If it says where China made, I just want to see how much China made for Thor Ragnarok. So I keep seeing hot start in China. Let's see. No, like look at this. Like, and obviously this has been the thing. So much things. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Love and Thunder. Did I say Ragnarok the first time? Yeah, Ragnarok's the old one. Love and Thunder. What's happening right now? Thank you, S Bubs. So to me, again, this shows like even if it was the same, it wouldn't beat like the record. But like in China, the 2017 one made 112 million over there. Now there has been proof lately as far as movies coming out over in China and not doing as well as they used to. There's lots of things over there as far as like the release of them. There's lots of things with the obviously China's doing a lot of movies that aren't great for them because they show things of people actually being people. Like there's all these reasons, and even then, it just seems like now the China market they got used to not getting North American movies, so they're even more so just like moving them away. But even then, you look at that, China was a big box office contributor pre-COVID. Yeah, absolutely. And you look at this is what 700 million. It's probably a little bit more after this weekend, but 700 million then plus 112, so you'd be sitting at 812 million, just over 40 under, which is not that bad for the fourth movie in a franchise. And it could have been doing more even China. You don't even know, right? And I'm not sure, there might be other markets too, because some markets are still like smaller as far as like opening stuff with COVID. Some markets still don't want stuff if there's any type of like sexual orientation stuff and things like that. So I to me consider that an absolute win. Not to quote the Hulk, but I guess to quote him, I have no problem. Check out our She-Hulk reviews during this week. But yeah, to me that's a good one. Speaking of Hulk, there's rumors right now that there's some, I can't remember what it was. Forgive me. I should have had it brought up. I was running late today. I had some errands. But either way, there's rumors going around. We've heard this before, right? Where I think it was like a year ago when I think it was me and Kirklin on a cast, this World War Hulk rumor came out, right? It was like, it's going to be a film. Like, that's strange because it can't do a film. And it was from like a C tier scoop. So it wasn't like someone that just was shit. And now there's other people talking about World War Hulk again. World War Hulk. Say that 3 times fast. World War Hulk. And then there was these rumors, remember a while back, go like very minor tier, like I'd say D tier. I was like, oh, it might be turned into a series. And then there's been rumors again that it's like a movie, and it never made sense. But there's some sort of rumor going around that I think it's like in 2023, and it's from people like at least of some note. I'd say like definitely C tier, not C plus tier. C tier as far as it looks like it runs up in 2023. So that's the thing where they could be cagey. They don't got to announce it now. They could announce it Disney Plus because that's a few weeks into She-Hulk, but they can wait till later on, wait till that runs out, and then announce it because maybe they're not allowed to announce it till that contract runs up. But I'd be down for World War Hulk. I think it'd be great. I like Professor Hulk. I know people are very over it and they want to meme on him. I think it was a warrant change. Do I want it to be the Hulk forever? No, I do love some of his humor, but I think you give him She-Hulk, maybe one more other project as Professor Hulk, but I do want like the Savage Hulk back. So I think you'd have to get that World War Hulk. I think that's more marketable than Professor Hulk as a solo character. Now I think they'd add a lot of other characters, not just She-Hulk, just to like spruce that up. Because a Hulk movie, I feel like if a Hulk movie comes out, they're gonna try their best to make this a fucking hit. Because that first one did a very like, I know we talked about on After Nine like Morbius's box office, right? But even then, like the Incredible Hulk box office is like, no pun intended, incredibly low for what you would think when you think about the MCU and all this stuff. Let's see. It gives me the 2008 video game. It's like, oh, the video game. No, give me the movie. So box office, 264. That is literally one, and inflation, so I guess it means a little bit more. But that is literally just like, it's 101 more than Morbius. Not great. And I know why. That's why they obviously they didn't make more. They didn't feel they had to make more, everything like that. So sorry, I got some fucking water from my water bottle on my laptop, which is great. But so hopefully I'm gonna wipe it away and nothing's gonna happen if the show ends. And oh, see, it almost did end. It said, "Do you want to leave the site? Cancel." I'm not going to wait till after. Thank God we're on the last topic. Don't want to break the laptop. I think we're okay. But it made sense why they weren't in a rush also to do another film. So I hope they're up just because I always get more freedom. And if that's up, maybe that means that Namor thing's up. Hopefully I like Namor and they do more of that. So we'll see. Let's take our last ad break and then we're going to talk about some Madam Web. So we will be right back. And we're back. Oh, water, the savior, right? So I talked about this a little bit on After 9 today. So patrons will already know what I'm thinking about. But so Madam Web, there's some. I talked about this the other day, right? Where this might seem like some legit stuff. Where I read that site that S Bubs passed along, and it's like these things like some of these are true, some of them aren't true. Take it with a grain of salt. With this, it looked like some that was true, and it looks like that there's been casting for certain people, and obviously the biggest one for us was Sydney Sweeney. There was rumors for a while that she was playing. I think it was at first it was like Silver. I think it was like Silver Sable at first, and then it was like, oh, she's playing the villain, which I didn't like that. And now there's rumors that she's playing Julia Carpenter. I always want to say Jennifer Carpenter because the Dexter actress, but yeah, so there's rumors of that. We don't know how true they are. We don't know what version. We don't know if she'll even have a spider suit. But then there's rumors that Emma Roberts is going to be playing Mary Parker, and Adam Scott might be playing Richard Parker, the husband, or Ben Parker, which is obviously Uncle Ben. Very interesting. And this makes sense because those rumors I talked about, remember, was, hey, that casting of Julia Carpenter, that would be correct, and the Spider-Man's not in this universe yet. They did say something about Eddie Brock cameo, which was like, but I guess you could have Eddie Brock, like a young Eddie Brock cameo. Or jumps forward to the future. And that's where it's post somebody put out there who's like a scooper, but it's like, hey, this isn't a scoop, it's just my thought. But people took it as like either they know some stuff or just it could be a good idea. The idea that maybe they're doing like a Terminator with Madam Web, where maybe there is a villain and you get Madam Web who's been told, hey, this character or this woman is birthing somebody that's going to change the world, at least change New York, but change the world, change New York, going to be a hero that leads people to hundreds of victories and saves lives. You got to make sure this kid makes it. There's some, and yes, is it just rip off a Terminator? If that was the case, absolutely. But it is strange where, they're in the past, they're in New York supposedly, and if these people are the Parkers, why else would you be needing them in the movie? Like, I don't need by coincidence we know Ben and Mary Parker. No, I don't need that. And it does make sense of, okay, somebody trying to take them out. Now, who that villain would be, that I don't know. And that I think could set up some fun stuff down the line with it. They finally bring in the Spider Person, whether it's Miles or one of the Andrew or Toby or whatever. I think that could be fun. Obviously, probably wouldn't be Toby because Venom, but multiverse stuff. Michael Keaton's now in the Sonyverse, right? So who knows? But it's someone said that idea of like, man, it features these characters, and imagine if it's like a Terminator where they're hunting down young Peter Parker in the womb or a baby, and they gotta save him. I was like, damn it. All this time where I go, I don't get Madam Web. I don't understand why they're making this. I don't think it'll do that well. I still know how well it will do. I had all these doubts against it. I hear that. I go, that would be kind of fun. I'm a big Terminator guy. I love Terminator. Well, I'd say just like T1 and T2. But that I think is a fun plot. That is something also for marketing wise where Craven I think could end up looking very boring if they do this whole like, oh, different Spider Women or Madam Web people have to save a Spider-Man character, which is Peter Parker, and you get to use the Spider-Man Peter Parker name. They can even say like, oh, he becomes this hero known as Spider-Man. Like they can market the shit of that and not have to show one. That'd be fantastic. I will still, what SBO says, like, imagine if it ended where they just killed them. That's why you don't have a Spider-Man in the universe. I think it would be great to do something that ballsy. And then imagine that's something we end like, oh, there is another, and it shows like the picture of Eddie Brock's Venom, and I go like, ugh. But still, they could be like, oh, that is the person. But if that plot is true, and it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but if it's something around that where it is these people that are trying to help out the Parkers and Peter Parker to grow up to become the person he is. Plus, that would be great. Like if it was the animated show where Peter Parker does talk to Madam Web and they do have a connection where she's kind of, yeah, so remember being like, I did save your life and you kind of owe me something, So that sounds intriguing. A movie just about Madam Web, I don't know about that. I think movies with Madam Web in them, I was all for. But I think that, Let's see. Madam Web ends up, maybe Madam Web is looking at universe where Spider-Man ends up being a hero and they just play archival footage of other movies. You might not be wrong. Like, they might even be like, this man becomes a hero of many years, and they just show footages of all the Spider-Man. Because either one, they're showing multiverses, or Sony doesn't give a fuck, and it's just like, oh, this is a Spider-Man, whatever. So I don't think you're wrong. We're seeing like archive footage, and that they got to be careful with who they pick, but they might try and pick the most generic looking stuff to like confuse people. Or what they might do, actually, as Bubs, they'll put that shit in the trailer, but in the actual movie, just like Morbius, it'll be out of there. I bet that's a good chance. Like, he becomes a great hero. Smash clip of Toby Spider-Man kicking butt, and then smash clip back. I think 100% that could be on the table. So this plot, if it's true, this does actually, for the first time ever, other than the actresses involved, get me a little intrigued of what's going on. Now, still the same writers, still the Morbius Gods of Egypt writers. Rumors they're rewriting the script. Do I have faith in being a good movie? No. Maybe a good watch, but a good movie? No, but at least this gets me a little more interested because Morbius I was never too interested in. I don't have, just like the footage in the Shazam 2 trailer. Absolutely, yes, Bubs. You could do that where I don't think they're going to be in the movie, but just show these heroes. Craven, zero hype for right now, even though I like Garrett Taylor Johnson and stuff. But yeah, that'll do it for me today. I will be back when you're listening to this on Monday at 3 p.m. PST regular time. I'll do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. See what news is broken out there. At some point, I might be reviewing Sandman. It might be a separate episode. If tomorrow's lack of news, that might be the episode. And obviously, if you haven't seen it, then go watch and come back. So far, I'd say recommend it. Great show. But yeah, I'll be talking news, breaking it down. We'll have lots of other GeekVerse stuff going on. So until then, I promise you, it'll not be boring.